Hi everyone, this is Rebecca Keppel. I'm here for ThermOWeb today, and I want to show you some tags that I've made with the ThermOWeb and Gina Designs line. And this is a really fun line that has what are called Foilmates, has special foils, has ribbons, cardstock, and inks, and I'm going to use all of those together to create a really fun birthday tag. So I've cut one of the Foilmates down, and I am going to cover it in two colors of foil, but first I'm going to take a non-lint cloth and really wipe away any dust that could be on the toner, because that would keep the foil from adhering really well to that toner there. So I've cut a small piece of this really fun bright pink foil, and now I have the sequins, the silver sequins foil, which I think is so much fun. Just such a cool idea. And I'm going to cut a small piece of that, and I'm going to layer it right over the candles and that pink foil. Anywhere that the two foils are touching each other, you don't have to worry about it. It's not a big deal at all. As long as the toner is touching the color that you want it to be, you'll be fine. So I let my laminator heat up for quite a while, and then I run this sandwich through with parchment paper on the outside, and once it comes out, then I give it a second to cool. I do kind of rub it in a little bit. I don't know if you need to do this, but it makes me feel better to know that it's cooling and that it's adhering. And there you can see I have my sentiment in the pink and then my candles in the silver sequins. So I'm going to use this manila tag as my base, and I have a single stitched die from Gina that fits perfectly on that manila tag. So I'm going to line it up over my sentiment, and I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. I also die cut a piece of the Gina cardstock, and you'll see why I die cut the same exact size in a little bit. But first we're going to ink up this little sentiment area. I have two colors of the Gina I have the wild dandelion, and I'm going to use that for the flames and the area around the candles. I also have the Gina Passionate Pink, and I'm going to use that around the sentiment. So I have an ink blending tool with a mini round blender on it, and this is a clean one that I have, so I'm going to use that just for this Gina ink. I really don't want harsh lines, so I've covered my work surface with paper, and I'm going to come in with circles all the way from off the sentiment card on the paper. And when I'm done, I'm just going to put that little foam blender on the bottom of my ink cube, which is a really great way to store these. So now I'm going to ink up the Passionate Pink. Just make sure that that little foam blender is covered with ink. This time I really want a much lighter effect. So you can see that I'm actually inking up the paper much more, that's covering my work surface much more than the actual sentiment card itself. And that's because I really don't want the sentiment completely covered with a heavy dose of ink, and that kind of competes with the sentiment and makes it harder to read. I want a really light effect here, and almost a gradient of color where it's darker on the sides and then lighter on the actual sentiment itself. So then I just have to come in and clean up a few missing spots, but overall I really like the effect that this gives. So the next thing I'm going to do is start putting my tag together. I'm going to take this piece of cardstock and I'm just going to trim it with scissors, because I'm going to end up covering that trim. I'm going to adhere the bottom to the bottom of the tag, line that up, and then I'm going to line up the top stitched line to the top of the tag. And I think you can see where I'm going with this. I'm going to cover that middle with the sentiment, so it won't matter that it's snipped in half. So I'm just going to use some Memory Runner XL to adhere these, and then I'm going to flip the tag over and trim off the corners. Next, I'm going to take the Memory Runner XL again, and I'm going to flip over my little sentiment piece here and adhere that down onto my tag as well. Then I flip it over and punch the hole. I'm using a Crocodile to do this, but you can use any hole punch that will fit. So the next thing we're going to do is ink up some of the ribbon. I have the Gina ThermOWeb white sheer ribbon. It is white with gold, and I'm just going to trim those edges a little bit to keep them from fraying. You could take the ink cube and apply it directly to the ribbon. You get a much darker, vibrant look that way. I'm going to use that ink blending tool that I already had inked up, and that gives me again that gradient of color and also just sort of a lighter effect, which I really liked here. It also saves me some ink. So I am just going on the top and the bottom of my ribbon, and then I'm going to really trim a nice edge there so that I can put it through that tiny little tag hole there. I'm just going to tie a knot with these, and once that's done, I'll probably trim my ribbon a little bit more, and that's pretty much it. It's super simple to work with these Gina K Foilmates and the foils and the cardstocks and the inks. They really, everything coordinates together. The colors are absolutely beautiful and vibrant, and they make really great birthday tags. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great day.